the Golden State Warriors have been left behind. Let's be real. Steph Curry has come in and he's changed the game of basketball. Not just him, but Klay Thompson as well. That whole Golden State Warriors team, when they broke out in 2015 and won the NBA championship that year, they took the league by storm. And because of the influences of the Steph Currys and the Klay Thompsons, we now have this new era of basketball where you got centers shooting threes. You got everybody on the court shooting threes. Look at the Boston Celtics, for crying out loud. They shot the most threes, and they had a lineup where it was nothing but shooters in it. Just looking at that perspective now, we have so many different types of skill sets now because of that three-point shot. And that all has to do with this Warriors team. They are the most influential team of our last decade. They have changed the game forever as we see it. But it's almost like now, as things happen, just life happens, and as soon as you do something that is revolutionary, it's just only a matter of time until other people start catching on and starting to do it even better and take it to even higher lengths. That 2016 Golden State Warriors team that won 73 games alone, they attempted over 36 three-pointers per game. But looking at the Boston Celtics this year, just putting that into perspective on how the game has just changed in this way, they shot over 42.5 three-pointers per game. The guy who is still on the top right now for threes is Steph Curry, still ranking amongst the highest in three-pointers made in an NBA season. And the game is still evolving, and he's still one of the best players regardless of that. But now looking at the direction for the Golden State Warriors, they're kind of in that category of I really don't know what I want to do type teams. Like, you have the teams that are clear contenders, you have teams that are borderline contenders, and you have those teams that are like, in the middle of the pack, they could make the play-in or not. And then you have those teams, as you know, that just don't really have no chance at all. They're just trash. And looking at the Warriors, it's really like a confusing period. They have some pretty solid players in their team still, like Kuminga. He's not a bad player, he's good, but he's still not ready really yet to be a true player in the playoffs. Podziemski showed a lot of promising potential for this Warriors team, but the guy, as we all know, who is gone from it all is Klay Thompson. And the thing is, you pretty much let Klay Thompson walk. You cut off CP3 from the team. You had Jordan Poole, who helped you guys win an NBA championship in some way. I get, the season prior wasn't really that good, but they had pieces back then. And we all know that Klay, well, speaking of him just in general, Klay was that guy who was loyal to this Warriors franchise. He'd been there his entire NBA career. I mean, him and Steph Curry, for crying out loud, are the reason. Yeah, Draymond plays a huge role in it as well, one of the biggest. But let's be real, the Splash Brothers are what really made the Warriors the Warriors. And yes, we've been hearing the rumors, and I'm sure Klay was hearing it all along about him pretty much not going back to the Warriors. And we all know the status of that was basically that he just felt disrespected, and he didn't really feel as if there's nothing you can really do at this point. Even there was reports out there talking about Klay with this whole situation with the Warriors, and basically saying how, Steph could have basically talked to the front office and gave him the money that he wanted and whatnot. But he said, nah, he wanted to be genuine. He wanted to be real, and that's what we all will want at the end of the day. You don't want somebody, just because he said it, then they'll give it to me. Like, no, you want them to do it because they want to do it. But when you don't want to do that, it's just not really real. And, what's crazy as well about all of this, talking with Klay and all this contract, the Warriors are one of the most expensive teams of history at one point in the league. Their owner, he's notorious. He always had to pay the luxury taxes because he was invested into building this Golden State Warriors team. But with his new CBA, it does make things really complicated now when it comes to paying all these players. It's pretty much going to be impossible to keep every single person you want to on a team like that. Especially at one point when you consider all the talent that the Warriors did have. They just really weren't going to have all the money to pay all those guys, which is one of the main reasons as well, too, why Jordan Poole was let go of from the Warriors. And Klay, we all know he played pretty bad last season in the playoffs. It was pretty much obvious. And many people now think that he's washed, but people forget that he played really well when he came off the bench for that stretch. I believe he averaged over, 19 points per game, but for the season, he averaged over 17 a game. It may not be that prime Klay Thompson where, he's, 60 points and 3 dribbles or some crazy number like that, but he is still a good contributor for a really good team. And I've felt like the Mavericks were just the perfect situation. If he would have went to a team like the Lakers, that just would have not really been the most ideal situation, because if he has one bad game, we all know that the media is just going to be coming at this guy like crazy. And going to a team like the Mavericks where they need shooting, because that definitely showed in that series against the Boston Celtics, his job is not really going to be that hard. And the reality is, too, there's not going to be as much pressure on Klay Thompson. This is really a new, fresh start for him. He's not in California. He's in Texas. He has the opportunity still to compete for an NBA championship on a great team that needs a service like him. And the thing is, he's not going to have games where he's having like 10 made three-pointers or something like that, but he's still going to be a really key contributor for that team. And there could be some games where he does hit, 5, 6, 7 threes where he's really hot, because when this guy, he gets hot from three, he's going. He's really that guy. We know the defensive end, he's not really the same player as he used to be. When he tore your Achilles and your ACL, that's pretty much impossible to say, hey man, this guy's going to come back and he's still going to be the same player. Like, no, we all know what at this point he is in this state of his NBA career. That's a great, solid veteran player who can be a good contributor on a really good team. And they have pretty much the same team coming back. This Mavs team is going to be a really, really good team yet again next season. But switching it back really to the Warriors, as I stated earlier, this team is really now in a situation where there is no championship opportunity at this point. We all know as well, they could have got a trade where they acquired Paul George and team. And I felt like still then, even if they did acquire Paul George, that wouldn't have been enough. They would have been just another team in a Western Conference that is pretty much in the comparison of war, because literally looking at the West, almost every single team in that conference literally has a chance, which is just crazy to really put into perspective. You had both an aging Paul George and Steph Curry, who is still playing at a high level, but maybe at maximum you would have had about 2 really solid years left of really good basketball at that level. Really the best thing the Warriors can do at this point is just try to get the best team that they possibly can surrounding Steph Curry. And as you all know, they recently acquired Buddy Hield, who is pretty much now they're supposed to be the next splash brother next to Steph Curry. I mean, it's just we're not really going to be the same. Buddy Hield is an amazing player, one of the best three-point shooters in the league, but he's not going to help these guys just become one of the best teams in the league. But seeing Klay Thompson leave the Warriors and just letting reality now really fully set in that this guy is really a Dallas Maverick, if you told me this many years ago, I would have just laughed at you, because me thinking this was never even a possibility, because Klay Thompson just seemed like that player who will be a Warrior for life. I mean, that whole crew of him, Draymond, Steph, they all look like players that will literally be for their team for the remaining of their careers. And seeing them now not together is really weird. But hey, all good things in life eventually come to an end. We've seen many great teams throughout NBA history that had great teams, that had teams that won multiple NBA championships, but the guys split. Look at the San Antonio Spurs, for example, when they had Tony Parker. I don't even know if people remember or not, but Tony Parker at one point was on the Charlotte Hornets. Just seeing that alone was just weird. It's like Michael Jordan when he was on the Washington Wizards, or Scottie Pippen when he was on the Portland Trail Blazers. It's just weird seeing these guys move on from when they were on these teams that won multiple championships. But, players get older and they're not going to be the same talent of a player that they were when they were younger. When we were talking about the Warriors many years ago, we were just like, man, this is one of the greatest teams ever assembled of all time. And they've gotten many great players that come through the years on this team. Now the league is just really fully caught up, and they pretty much surpassed the Warriors in this way. And it's time for new teams now to really make their mark, man. But it's truly sad seeing Klay and this whole Splash Brother duo break up. But I hope you guys enjoyed this brief video today, man. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content each and every single week. Have a great day. Peace.